Today, we are going to reflect more on the next three qualities, which is hipasiko, openaiko, pacatang, veditabo, vinuhiti. Okay, so these are the 6 qualities. All right, we'll go to the 4th quality of Dhamma, ehipasiko. Ehi by Pali means come. And pasiko comes from the word pasati, is see. Yeah. So ehipasiko means to come and see. The Dhamma invite us to come and see and to put into test as well. In other words, it invite all people to come and verify the Dhamma ourselves. Yeah, that this Dhamma really leads to ultimate goal by practicing it. And no one can actually force anybody, and no one can force or can reach to the goal by just blind faith. Yeah, so one must come and see and investigate to make an effort to practice the way and to achieve the goal. The Dhamma is also inviting investigation. So when the Buddha said, come and see, it has a very inviting connotation of it. Why? Because the Dhamma stand investigation like real goal. The Buddha encouraged us to check, analyze his word, just as the same way as one could analyze any sciences or analyze, just like the goldsmith, analyze the quality of the gold by doing different kind of tests, by rubbing, cutting, and melting it. Yeah. So for us, we can always try to investigate the Dhamma, yeah, by critically examining it, by testing it out, and accepting them only after we see its validity. Yeah, because that is the only way that we can understand the intended meaning of the Dhamma. Yeah, and we can use it to transform our mind because this Dhamma is not philosophy, it's not religious theory or set of social rules, but it is meant for us to cultivate deeper wisdom to end suffering. Yeah. Now, the only difference from other sciences is that when we investigate the Dhamma, we have to verify it from our first person experience. It is not from the outside world. Yeah. And when we do science testing or verification, we will usually do it in a lab, big lab or complex, using certain complex formula of mathematics, right? The laboratory of the investigation of Dhamma is actually in our own mind. Yeah, validation of the Dhamma or investigation of Dhamma is by watching our own mind, our own experience, and from there, embodiment of Dhamma will appear. Yeah, so the good news is anyone can do it. Yeah, because as we use our mind to investigate the Dhamma, we will be able to realize it. Okay, now the 5th quality is openaiko. Can you see this slide?
Is that the slide same thing? Okay, it overlaps. Now okay. Now can.
Okay. Now, openaiko means leading onward, yeah, or lead to progression and in the right direction to nibbana, which is the cessation of suffering. Now, related to the previous quality, how does having no blind faith but instilling investigative mind lead to our progress in the Dhamma? Let's go back to the story of the fruits garden. Yeah, just now. Now, if we have a fruit garden and several people listen to the garden owner and come to believe it, yeah. So let's say there is a strawberry garden or it's a mango garden, right? They would imagine the taste of the strawberry according to their previous experiences of other delicious strawberries. Yet they will still not really know exactly how this strawberry tastes. Also, if there is a person who has never tasted a ripe strawberry before, that person has no way of knowing exactly for himself how this strawberry tastes, despite listening so many good things about the strawberry from the garden owner. Yeah. So the only way to know the exact taste is to experience it, to eat it and experience it. In the same way, a person needs to experience the Dhamma within to see how exactly it brings the benefit to oneself. Yeah, and it is by the benefit of Dhamma is realized after investigation. By following his teaching, the Buddha said that only by applying this method, yeah, by making the effort to practice the Noble Eightfold Path, it leads us to the goal, and we can certainly reach the goal and realize the Nirvana if we practice it correctly. Now, in the sutta, Anna Nuvicha Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya number 2, book number 2, verse 134, there is this sutta talking about without investigating. So this is the excerpt of the sutta. There are two parts. One part is quality of a fool who did not investigate and who did not examine the Dhamma when they see the Dhamma. Another part, which I show it here, is the part of two qualities of a wise person. Yeah, that who is competent and integral, keeps himself uninjured and impaired. He is blameless, not open to being blamed by the observant, and generates such marriage, which two will this wise person benefit from. He actually investigates the Dhamma and examine the Dhamma, and he shows the skepticism towards a matter that merits skepticism. And investigating the Dhamma, examining it, he shows confidence in a matter that merits confidence. Now, let's bring it to life of this teaching. Some people would like to collect amulets. Yeah. So, being a Buddhist, they like to collect amulets and keep it at home. Yeah, with the belief that one will get protected by keeping the Buddha image or keeping amulets. Yeah. So, if a wise person, who is competent and who is integral in practicing, will actually investigate and examine whether the experience of keeping amulet at home, or in a car or wherever, will keep him stay protected, will keep him from danger, will help him to reduce suffering and will be happier. Yeah. I have a friend who actually crazy over amulets, and he actually spent a lot of money to collect amulets. And when the family members got to know about it, they were actually worried that he spent too much on collecting amulets, and always get, in a way, disharmonious conversation with the family members as well, because of him over belief that these amulets will give him certain kind of protection. And because of that, the family is not in harmonious terms, and eventually he spent a lot of money on it. And at the end, he also didn't really feel that he get extra protection out of it. So one day he came and asked, is this true? Is what people say true? I said, yeah, you are very wise. Yeah, you are actually investigating the experience, and you came and verified. Yeah, and from there I started to share about what the Buddha's teaching is, and it is about practicing the path rather than collecting the Buddha image or amulets. Yeah, so from there he started to read, started to listen to Dhamma talk, and eventually he realized that, yeah, correct. By practicing, by listening to what the Buddha said, it leads to the happiness here and now. And we don't need extra protection or extra happiness that being granted by the Buddha image or amulets to oneself. Yeah. So that is the quality of the wise. And another example is, let's say, if we learn about the good value of being kind, do not injure, do not harm, or do not kill beings. Yeah, we learn about be honest. Yeah, be integral. Don't cheat. Yeah, and we learn about being respectful. Don't look down on other people. Don't be disrespectful, and don't despise other people. So when we can start to investigate by starting to embrace that values, what the Buddha say and how we can do it, and we embrace that values when we relate to others. After doing it, we can check our mental states and our emotions. Yeah, does it lead to tense, fear, or does it lead to compassion and freedom? You can also examine whether our relationship with others turn to be more harmonious or it turns to be disharmony. Yeah? There is a moment that when we are happy, when we are free from suffering, we keep ourselves uninjured and unimpaired. Also, we keep ourselves blameless, and those actions are indeed meritorious actions. Yeah. So by investigating the causes and conditions properly, we secure confidence in our Dhamma practice. Yeah. So it's that little bit by little bit, we secure more confidence because we practice Dhamma and we can see the Dhamma and its efficacy. The Buddha in Mahaparinibbana Sutta said, told Ananda about how one can proceed after he entered Parinibbana. And the Buddha said it very clearly that Ananda, you should live as lambs unto yourself, being your own refuge with no one else as your refuge, with the Dhamma as a lamb, with the Dhamma as your refuge, with no other refuge. Yeah. So, and then the Buddha explained on how one can live as a lamb unto oneself. This is about self-practice, about being mindful, practicing honestly, being mindful, and work towards end of suffering by being mindful to the four foundation of mindfulness. Yeah. So, and the Buddha also reassure us through this Parinibbana Sutta that those who now, during the Buddha's time, or afterwards, after the Buddha have gone, live thus, take the Dhamma as a refuge and practice diligently, will become the highest, means will reach to the goal of the practicing, which is Nibbana, and if they are desirous of learning. So the Buddha again reassure us that if we practice correctly, we have that strong will and put effort to practice, take Dhamma as a refuge, then we will definitely reach to the goal. It is actually a progressing journey. Yeah. So now let's talk about this progressive journey, Opanayiko, leading onwards. Yeah, leading onwards to the end of suffering. For us to progress in the Dhamma, we have to recognize that the nature of the mind is happiness and peaceful. Yeah, and we convinced that each of us have the potential ability to achieve the highest, greatest human potential, which is enlightenment. Yeah. We also understand that the ultimate goal of our practice is the end of suffering, dukkha, which is caused by our own craving and ignorance. By knowing this goal, it keeps us motivating, it keeps us to a right direction. Imagine if we are driving without a destination. we go here and there, turn around here and there, U-turn, and changing destination often. The experience of directionless and stuck will be very, very frustrating and demotivating. So know clearly the ultimate goal of our practice, so that when we practice, even though how difficult it is, how challenging the situation is, we will keep on on the track. Yeah, we will keep ourselves on the track, and we know that we are doing all this in order to progress to the right direction of the end of suffering. Yeah. The third part is about learning the right Dhamma. Simply believe in anything in the name of Dhamma will cause future obstacles, and a lot of suffering is because our mind is occupied by wrong view. Especially nowadays, it is so easy to get Dhamma teachings. You can get it, of course, from the books, from internet, from YouTube. The more sources that we can get the Dhamma, it is very good, because it can encourage us to reach to the Dhamma at any point of time in an easy one click. But it is also important for us to discern which is the right Dhamma, which is not the Dhamma, and we have to go back to the reliable sources such as the Sutta to verify it. Yeah. Now, and lastly is to take steps to start from within. Yeah, take steps to start. When we practice slowly and little by little, we will secure our confidence in the practice. We will see the Dhamma brings result, and then we see ourselves moving in the right directions towards the goal. And because we know the Dhamma has a quality of opanayiko that leads us forward, leads us to progress towards the end of suffering. Right? The last quality of the Dhamma is pacatang veditabo vinyuhi. Now, the Dhamma is to be realized by the wise, each by himself. No one can reach the Nibbana passively, just by believing it or praying or reading books. Yeah, imagine if you want to go to Singapore, you won't be able to reach Singapore by just believing that you can enter Singapore, or praying to enter Singapore, or just by reading this or looking at the Singapore map, yeah, or looking at the map that leading to Singapore from KL. Yeah. So everybody must start that journey to practice and make an effort. So the deep insight into the Dhamma is necessary for us to realize the goal, and that insight will not come by itself. Okay, it is also not as a result of help by an external force. Yeah, no one can enlighten another person. One can share knowledge to us, can share the skill on how to practice the Dhamma, can share their experience on how they overcome challenges but the realization of Dhamma cannot be shared, cannot be transferred, or cannot be given by another person to the next person. It cannot be inherited as well. Yeah, irrespective of how close the relationship are. For example, our parents and children, teachers, cannot pass this realization and attainment of wisdom to another person. So just like the Buddha cannot pass that enlightenment to the parents, right? It cannot pass to Princess Yasudhara, cannot pass to Rahula. They have to strive by themselves and experience and realize the Dhamma. Another simple analogy is that one cannot be a swimmer by just reading on how to swim, yeah? Or one cannot make another person swim just because that he knows how to swim. Maybe Olympic winner or coach, yeah, their child or their students, yeah, and may not be necessarily the Olympic winner, yeah, may not be able to swim perhaps by just having a parent or coach who is an Olympic winner. So by practicing, one experience how to swim, how is it like, different types of different types of the swim and how is it taste when you really swim freely in the pool. Okay, so talking about a wise person, yeah, the Buddha mentioned in many places that in the sutta that to be able to proceed on the path, certain amount of wisdom is required, because a fool will never realize those truths and act accordingly to what the Buddha has shown. Okay, Dhamma is for the wise, it's not for the unwise. Why? Because the fool cannot realize the Dhamma because there is big obstacles of ignorance and wrong view. Just imagine that you are actually teaching a person to see something. Yeah, you're telling the person, let's look at this object, for example. But this person is actually in the dark, or is actually not opening the eyes. Yeah, he will not be able to see. Yeah, because of this ignorance, regardless of how bright the Dhamma is, one who is in darkness will not be able to see it. Yeah, so obstacles to this wisdom is obstacles to realize the Dhamma. There are 3 types of wisdom, the Buddha said. First type is the learned wisdom, Sutta Maya Panya. It is a knowledge or wisdom that is acquired from books or listening to others, sharing experience, or reading others' written books. And the second type, this is very easy to be obtained. And the second type of panya or wisdom is Cinta Maya Panya. It's a kind of knowledge or wisdom that is acquired from thought or logic and reasoning. Yeah. So this one, a lot of us can do by doing analyzing, by reasoning certain teachings that the Buddha taught, and by reflecting those things and try to make sense of what the Buddha taught. Yeah. The third types of panya is actually panya from spiritual development, the wisdom that arises from our own cultivation and practice. This is called bhavana maya panya. And because this is direct spiritual experience, it lasts longer and it could lead us to certain realization and insight. Yeah? So if wisdom is so important, then all of us got to try to be wise or to be wiser. Yeah? How can we be wiser? Try by learning the Dhamma with open heart and mind. Yeah? Reflect for the Dhamma often. Love the Dhamma. I think one of the most important attitude that we can embrace is to have this great love for the Dhamma. In the Parabhava Sutta, the Buddha mentioned, those who love the Dhamma will progress, and those who hate the Dhamma will regress. Yeah? This is quite aligned with the modern psychology, the principal law of association. If we focus on certain things and we like certain things, and our mind is attracted to certain things which is lovely, beautiful, or peaceful, then we become one of those. Yeah? So in our life, we also set goals to learn many things, right? Since young, we are being asked or being forced to excel in our academic subjects, in extracurriculum, and then in our professional skills. And the reward of those striving or the learning certificates, badges, titles, and that's very good. But beyond that, how can we further improve, better our life? Yeah, every one of us want to be happy. Every one of us want to have a peaceful mind. And by learning the Dhamma, the reward is to turn wiser. The reward is towards this path of happiness and peace. And this wisdom that we learn, that we gain from Dhamma learning, help us to destroy our greed, hatred, and delusion. And the best thing is we can use this wisdom at any time, life after life. Yeah, and the Dhamma will bring us there to the goal of end of suffering. Isn't that very rewarding? Yeah. Now, the Buddha also said that if we want to start to practice the Dhamma, want to turn to be wiser, then we can start now at any time. Build habitual actions and good karma, day by day, little by little. I would like to share this story of a Brahmin. Yeah, while the Buddha was living in Jetavana monastery, yeah, with monks, there was a Brahmin who saw this group of monks always have to rearrange their robe when they need to enter the city to go for alms food. While he was looking, he found that the robes of some of the bhikkhus touched the ground and got wet because of the dew on the grass. Yeah, in the morning there was dew and the robes got wet. So he was thinking, how can I prevent their robes from getting wet? So he tried. First time, he cleared the patch of the ground. And the next day, he saw again, the bhikkhu was actually at the ground adjusting their robe, but the robe still got dirty. Why? Because the robes touched on the bare ground and it went dirty again. And what he did was, he covered that patch of ground with sand. Yeah? And the next day, he observed again. Then he saw the bhikkhu would sweat when the sun was shining on them, and they got wet when it was raining. So finally, after he put in some thought, he built a rest house for the bhikkhus and placed them there for their gathering before they enter the city for alms food. When the building was built, he invited the Buddha and the bhikkhu for alms food. The Brahmin explained to the Buddha what has happened over the few months, what he has observed and what he had done. And he did this meritorious deed step by step. Then the Buddha replied, which is stated in this Dhammapada, said that the Brahmin is indeed wise. He performed this meritorious act little by little and gradually, constantly removing the impurities of his own defilement by practicing generosities and respect to the Buddha and the bhikkhus in that area. So does the Buddha advise all of us that the wise, who gradually purifies himself little by little and from time to time, just as a silversmith removes the dross of silver. So that's a way we should continue to practice, step by step, little by little, moment to moment. So develop this habitual karma, develop this habitual good karma. For example, if we have learned about metta, about having developing friendliness and loving kindness to anyone, to any being, what we can do is that to determine, to be kind, to be respectful, to be friendly to others, regardless of who they are, regardless of how they have treated us, and continue that little by little. And if let's say we determine to practice mindfulness, then keep our mind anchored at an object, even for every 1 second. Every moment of practice is practice. So even for 1 second, if we are able to do that, we are actually still doing it, still practicing the Dhamma little by little. And if we have committed to perform service, we can also do little by little. The more we can spend time, we do more. For example, a call or text to others, giving them our time, even though a short one, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, providing them with listening ears, is the practice of selflessness. As long as we do it sincerely, as long as we know this is the Dhamma practice, and this is the path that continue to lead us to the end of suffering. So we come back to the word Anussati. Yeah, these are the six qualities of the Dhamma that we ought to recollect, the Dhammanussati. Again, to revise, yeah, Anussati means recollection, contemplation, or remembrance, or meditation, and mindfulness. It refers to this specific kind of meditation or devotional practice, eventually that leads to mental tranquility and abiding joy. Now, in the Mahaparinibbana Sutta, you also have this in your quiz just now. Yeah, the Buddha mentioned that we should develop this recollection of the Dhamma at any point of time. You know, when we are walking, standing, sitting, lying down, even when we are busy, yeah, we also need to get our mind in tune to the Dhamma. And while we are resting in home crowded with children, it means that when we are not in seclusion, when we are with other people, you know, we still need to abide in the Dhamma and recollect the Dhamma. Now, in the Sankita Sutta, this is in an occasion when Mahaparinibbana Gautami went to see the Buddha. You know, the Mahaparinibbana Gautami went to see the Buddha, bow and ask the Buddha this question: can the Blessed One, you know, teach me the Dhamma in brief, so that having heard the Dhamma, I would be able to dwell alone, secluded, heedful, ardent, and resolute. So the nun is asking the Buddha for the advice on what is the Dhamma that she can practice when she's alone. Buddha stated these eight qualities in Sankita Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, book number 5, chapter of 8, Sutta 53. And these 8 qualities are stated here to share. I will not go into detail, yeah, but we'll list down here. The first one is that it leads to dispassion, yeah, and do not lead to passion. It leads to being unfettered, means that being free, yeah, not bounded. And it leads to shedding, means letting go, not to accumulating. It also leads to modesty, not to self-aggrandizement, which means it helps someone to be more humble rather than self-boasting. It leads to more contentment, not to discontent. It leads to reclusiveness, not to entanglement. Yeah? Simplification and not entanglement. It arouses persistence, not to laziness. It is also leading to one being unburdensome, but not being burdensome. Means the mind is light and it's not burdensome. So the Buddha told Mahaparinibbana Gautami that you may categorically hold this is the Dhamma, this is the Vinaya, this is the teacher's instruction. Yeah. So this is very important because when we know the Dhamma, what is the Dhamma, you know, and we practice accordingly, these are the results that it will bring. So when we examine our practice, when we examine our cultivation, if it leads to the 8 qualities, then we know these are the Dhamma that we should develop more confidence and we should further pursue, and it leads to the path of end of suffering. On the other hand, if it does not lead to these 8 qualities, then we know this is not the way, and then we ought to let them go because these are not the right Dhamma, or maybe the practice that we are actually cultivating is not correct. Then it's time for us to rectify them. Knowing this right these 6 Dhamma attributes, one will attain the greatest peace and happiness, which is the state of Nibbana. Yeah. So one is fully responsible for he or himself or herself to put that practice into real. Now, here the Buddha is compared to an experienced and skillful doctor, and the Dhamma is being compared to a proper medicine. However efficient the doctor or wonderful medicine may be, the patients cannot be cured unless they take the medicine properly. So the practice of Dhamma is the only way to attain the final deliverance of Nibbana. I would like to share with you a light video. Can I get Sir Yot Ting to put it up for everyone?
Sister, maybe we need you to stop share first. Thank you.
All right.
Jimmy! Watermelon! Now remember, don't eat the seeds or one's gonna grow in your belly. Yeah, thank you, sister. So, brothers and sisters, so that is just a light video for us to reflect. Yeah, when we learn the Dhamma, when we contemplate the Dhamma, reflect and practice the Dhamma, it is paramount essential for us to know what the Dhamma is and to know what are the teachings that is not considered as Dhamma. Yeah, because having that discernment and that wisdom to see is very important, because the Buddha has mentioned it very clearly. If you practice this, it will lead to that. Yeah, causes and conditions are there, the cause and effects are there. So what the Buddha advises us to do and what the Buddha advises us not to do
just like the mother advised not to eat the seed. Yeah, but if we do it either ignorantly or we do not listen and follow the right instruction, take the adhamma as dhamma, practice wrongly, it will pose harm and danger to us, and also will bring suffering to other people as well. So the Dhamma have this wonderful and great 6 qualities, and we are indeed fortunate and blessed to be born in this era where Dhamma, the true Dhamma, is still available. Yeah. In the Dhammapada, verse 182, a very famous Dhammapada, it states that rare is to begin as human being, and difficult is a life of mortals. Hard is the hearing of the sublime truth, the Dhamma, and rare is the appearance of the enlightened one. We are indeed blessed, and we also heard and admire the 9 great qualities of the Buddha. Now, let us together practice this Dhamma diligently and gradually. Yeah, let the Buddhist seed of enlightenment germinate in us, and ultimately we can see the Dhamma and see the Buddha for real. Okay, so today I humbly offer this sharing for your reflection. Thank you very much for your attention. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.